Today we're going to have a look at trying to solve some simultaneous equations. So what we have here is a simultaneous equation. Simultaneous equation because we have two unknown variables. We have some A's and some B's. The word simultaneous means two things happening at the same time, or two or more things. So therefore we need to solve both equations at the same time. We need to solve the equations simultaneously. I'm going to talk you through a full algebraic method on this side of the screen, showing you exactly how you should set out your working when you're trying to solve a simultaneous equation. Okay, the first thing we need to do is it's very difficult to calculate with two unknown variables. So we want to manipulate the question so we can remove an A or remove the B. The way we need to do that is to make sure that the coefficients of the A's or the coefficients of the B's, remember that word coefficient means number in front of, we need to make sure that the coefficients are equal. So then we can remove one of the variables. So if I look at this question, currently the coefficients of A are not the same and the coefficients of B are not the same. In some questions they may already be the same, but for this question we're going to need to manipulate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the first line of the question, 2a plus 4b equals 26, and I'm going to multiply the whole line by 2. That will then give me 4a and 4a on both lines of my simultaneous equation question. So this is what my original question looked like. And you can see here, I've shown that I'm going to multiply the first line by 2. So my question now looks like this. I've ended up with 4a plus 8b equals 52 because everything on the first line has been multiplied by 2. Make sure you multiply all the terms in the equation. It's a very common mistake that students forget to multiply all of the terms on that line. Now that I have a coefficient of 4 in front of both of these A's, I can remove this variable by doing a subtract. 4a subtract 4a is going to leave me with 0a. It's going to leave me with nothing. So in order to remove the variable, I'm going to take the first line of my equation and I'm going to subtract the second line of my equation. 4a minus 4a, as we mentioned, would be nothing. 8b minus b would be 7b's. 52 minus 24 is going to leave me with 28. So notice how I have now removed the a's from the calculation. So I'm left with a nice one-step equation. 7b's equal 28. So I know that if I take this 7 and divide this side by 7 and this side by 7, I'm going to find that the value of b is 4. So I've removed one of the variables in order to calculate the other variable, b equaling 4. At this point, I'm only halfway through the calculation. I've solved for b, but I still need to solve for a. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the equations. I've chose the bottom one, 4a plus b equals 24, because it's a little bit simpler in that it involves 1b. But if you chose the first equation, or even the equation that we doubled up here, 4a plus 8b equals 52, you're always going to get the same solution. So I'm going to use this equation, substitute b equals 4 into this equation in order to allow me to solve for a. Okay, so you can see my working out there. I took my value of b and I substituted into the equation here, b equaling 4. I then left myself at this stage with a two-step equation. I subtracted 4 from each side and then I divided by 4. So I found that the value of a in this question was 5. Now I've found both variables, the a and the b. I've completed the simultaneous equation. I've solved it for both variables. I could take my values and substitute into here to make sure they added up to 26, or into here to make sure they added up to 24, just to check my answer. But there I've gone and solved the simultaneous equation, and I've shown my full algebraic working out. At this point, I should tell you that there's other ways to approach this question. For example, on the very first starting line, you may have multiplied the second line by 4, which would have then left you with 4b and 4b as your coefficients, which would again have your working out looking slightly different. However, your final answer would still be a equals 5, b equals 4. We'll have a go at another question here. Okay, I've included a -4 as a coefficient in here, as that just slightly changes my working out. Okay, so first of all, I need to make sure that I've got some coefficients that are equal. At the minute, I've got 2 and 7, or I've got 3 and 4. So I don't have equal coefficients. Remember, in some questions, you may already have them. So my original question looks like that. And in order to manipulate this question, I'm going to multiply both lines of my simultaneous equation. If I multiply my top line by 4 and my bottom line by 3, I've manipulated my question to look like that. So I now have an equal coefficient in front of the n here and in front of the n here. 12n and 12n. Okay, remembering that you multiply the full line by whatever you are multiplying by. At this stage, I've got plus 12n, and on my second line, I've got negative 12n. If I'm trying to remove that variable, I need to make sure I get to 0. In order to get to 0, this time I need to add my lines of algebra together, because 12n add negative 12n, that is going to take me to 0n. So when you have a negative in your question and you get to this point of the method, you will need to add your equations together in order to remove a variable. So I'm going to add my m's together, and I'm going to add my numbers on this side of the equal sign together at the same time as adding my n's, and that leaves me with 0n. 29m equals 58 is a nice one-step equation. If I divide both sides by 29, I find that the value of m is 2. I'm halfway through the equation at this point, so I'm going to pick one of the equations. I've picked the first equation over here because it looks slightly easier, and I'm going to substitute m equals 2 into this value here. Then I'm going to solve for n to find the second variable. Okay, so you can see I've took my 2 and substituted it into here. 2 times m would give me 4. I've then subtracted 4 from each side of this two-step equation, which has left me with 3n equaling 9. I've then divided each side by 3, telling me that the value of n must be 3. There's my two solutions to the simultaneous equation. Again, I could take those values, substitute them into one of these equations, and see if I get the correct value, just to double check my working out. Okay, here's a question for you to have a go at. Remember, you have the ability to pause the video. So if you would like to pause the video and solve this equation, just before you have a go at it, be aware that in this question, the coefficients of b are already equal. So there's nothing needed in terms of manipulating this question. Could you pause the video and have a go at solving these simultaneous equations. Okay, welcome back. For this question, your starting point is to subtract your second line from your first line. That will remove the 3b's. You'll be left with 0b. 4a subtract 2a is going to leave you with 2a's. 23 subtract 19 is going to leave you with 4. 2a equaling 4 tells you that a is 2, which you can then use to substitute back into your equation to find that the value of b is 5. Okay, another question for you to have a go at. This time there will need to be some manipulation. The second line will need to be multiplied in order to remove one of the variables from the question. Could you pause the video at this point and have a go at solving this simultaneous equation? Okay, welcome back. For this question, if you multiplied the bottom line by 2, that would take you to 4a plus 6b equals 22. You can then subtract the second line of algebra from the first and start working through the process shown on the first two slides. You should find that your solutions are a equaling 1 and b equaling 3. Okay, have a go at this question. You may want to pause the video. This time a negative is included, so just make sure you think about that once working through your answer. Pause the video now. Okay, welcome back. The solution to this question, a equals 6 and b equaling 2. You will need to, or one way of approaching the question is to multiply the second line by 2, but because we're dealing with a negative 6b up here, you would need to add your algebraic lines together. Okay, first task for you to have a go at. Again, you have the ability to pause the video at any point. There is 4 simultaneous equations on the left side of the screen, and there is 4 solutions on the right side of the screen. Could you match up the correct simultaneous equations with the correct solutions? However, one of them does not have the correct solution and is therefore the odd one out. So could you also highlight the odd one out? If you would like to pause the video now. Okay, welcome back. I'll quickly show you my solution. Should look something like this, with the third equation having an answer of a equals 5 and b equals 10. Therefore, it is the odd one out because it does not match up to a equaling 9, b equaling 4. Make sure you mark up your work and make sure your notation and your method is looking neat and correct. Okay, a couple of extension questions. Again, pause the video for as long as you need. Have a go at answering the question, and then I will show you my solution. Welcome back. That is my answer to this question. Very well done if you've got that. If you need a look at the full working out, here is one possible approach to the question. Okay, and one final extension question coming up. Could you pause the video and have a go at this worded problem? Okay, the solution to this one is seen there on your screen. So one of each suite would cost $2.25. If you need the full algebra working out, it is on your screen now. If you've worked through this video and produced some very neat and accurate work, very well done. You have shown a brilliant understanding of solving simultaneous equations.